It's 5 o'clock and time for Wiregrass Strong. The new coronavirus epidemic is a big problem that's expected to become bigger in the weeks and months to come. For those who are infected as well as those trying to avoid infection, these are trying times. But amid all the doom and gloom, there are some positive stories, positive messages, and reasons to remain hopeful. So every afternoon at this time, your Wiregrass Radio family of stations will come together while staying apart to help you stay informed. We're going to be seeking your input. If you're a business impacted by the virus, call and let the Wiregrass know what you are doing to continue safely providing your services or goods. And if you're a parent working hard to take care of your family, we'd love to hear how you are coping. Remember, only the facts, no hearsay or rumors, and we're trying to keep things positive. Our number is 334-699-1053, or you can join us on YouTube Live, and you can chat throughout the program. And it is a Monday afternoon. I'm not even going to try to decide how many days we've been into this COVID pandemic, but it is Wiregrass Strong again, and we're here to help you stay strong, Wiregrass. This half hour is brought to you as a public service of Knights Record. Big or small, they do it all. 899-3257, Ashford, Dothan, and Headland. They get to you really fast when you need them. In these times of need, give them a call, 899-3257. Doesn't matter what it is. They'll take care of it. Knights Record Service. We are broadcasting on all four of our radio stations, WESP, WECB, and WJRL Dothan, and WBBK Blakely Dothan, as well as live streaming on Facebook at B1053 and on YouTube at the Wiregrass Radio channel. We'd also like to thank our media partners, News 4 and WRGX, for assisting us with any type of information and press conferences and weather. So we turn to them quite often, and we certainly appreciate that partnership. And speaking of weather, we had some tough weather last night in the Wiregrass area. Henry County got hit pretty hard, and that's my neck of the woods. I'd like to introduce to you David Gilligan from the morning show, Pollard and Dave. And Miss Amy is a Mimi, and she's not with Dave. He's having to run solo a couple of mornings here because she is now a new grandma.
That's right. So, Braden has graced her with
How you doing, Dave?
I'm good, man. I'm doing real well. Excited for the new Mimi, and excited that the storms are gone, and excited to be with you.
And excited that the transmitter is fixed. The snake is not in the transmitter.
That's Nick.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that, Doc. We had a snake in our transmitter, and listen, he did a lot of damage. In the on the screen with us on the panel right now is Dr. Ben Garrett, and he is with Dothan Animal Hospital at 1846 South Oak Street. And we are so happy to have you here because one of the topics, Doc, we have not talked about is not only pet health, but other myths about pets, the transfer of COVID-19, and things that perhaps you can shed a little light on. And Dave, I can't remember. Y'all got a dog, don't you?
We do, buddy.
Yeah, y'all got Buddy.
He's not smart enough to catch anything. I'm telling you.
And
he struggles bad with squirrels. I'm serious.
And we have got a bull lab. We call her a blab. She's an American Bulldog Lab mix, and we've got a little rat terrier about 16 years old that owns and runs everything. But, Doc, thank you so much for being here. Tell us how business is going over at the Dothan Animal Hospital.
Well, Ricky, David, thank y'all for having me. Good gracious. It's an honor to be on the show. I think as far as what we are doing and being open, pets get sick too, and they need to have an outlet and a place to go. So that's why the veterinary practices are still open. It's really changed the way we're practicing.
Mm-hmm.
It's added a whole lot of steps into our every patient just because of what we're doing. We're trying to protect the staff, trying to keep them from being exposed. We are wearing masks throughout the day in the office. When a patient pulls up or a client pulls up into the driveway, they call the office. We take a history, and then they meet us at the door. We bring their pet in and do the workup, and then figure out what they need, and then call them back. So there's 2 or 3 phone calls that have to take place in order for us to do a day's business. So it's really changed how we're doing things.
I'm sure. Now, with the concern of the spread of COVID-19, the novel coronavirus, I'm sure people are concerned about it getting on their pets, on their fur. Is that something that people even need to worry about? Has it even proven to be a thing?
Well, I think maybe if one of their family members has the coronavirus, which, listen, I think we're real fortunate for our area not to have as many cases as what's going around in other hot spots. But if a family member has the virus and sneezed or coughed on a pet, I can't help but think that will be a source to spread, if it's on the pet.
Sure.
Particularly pretty quick afterwards, I would think that. Now, supposedly it's not a major concern, but I think it's something that we have to be smart about and just think about.
Sure, absolutely. I was reading a story earlier this morning, Dr. Garrett, about the school in London that was training dogs that can normally sniff out cancer and Parkinson's, that they're going to try and train it, see if they can sniff out people that are infected with coronavirus. That would be awesome if we could have an army of dogs that could do that.
Yes, and I think we're in this for the long haul. I was talking with a client earlier today, and she just asked me my thoughts on it. And I think until we come out with a vaccine, that's going to be the saving grace for us all, because we're not immune to it, And until we get vaccinated for it, or have it, or be exposed to it, we're fair game for it.
Well, by opting for flattening the curve, we chose to play the long game.
That's right. And that's so important.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The whole idea was to slow the game down, and we'll fight this thing for a good long time, as opposed to overwhelming the system all at once.
That's right. That's right. And that's to keep everybody out of the hospitals at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So, very understandable, what we're having to do. Ricky, like you said a few minutes ago, people are getting tired of it. It's wearing on people's souls now,
And we see it in all the protests in some of the larger areas that, thank goodness, we haven't taken to the streets, but they are in some cases. So.
Well, how important is a pet during a time like this, when you're having to spend a lot of time at home, and so pets are all of a sudden taking probably a bigger role in our lives as far as comfort and friendship and solace. Are you discovering that, Dr. Garrett?
Absolutely. I mean, you talking about the best thing for anxiety is to have a pet crawl up in your lap, or a cat, just be right next to you, purring, that is the best thing for anxiety, like we all are having with this virus, so that's important. We got to keep them healthy,
Mm-hmm.
to help keep the people healthy.
Absolutely.
Now, it does change the way that we have to behave with our pets now, whereas before we might let them roam the neighborhood and interact with other pets and other people. We have to keep them on a leash now. We have to keep them just as we would. We have to restrict their contact with anybody else who may have the possibility of contaminating your pets. And then, like on the surface of the fur, bringing the pet home and then, having a problem with that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one thing you got to think about. It's a great time to exercise your dogs, and people probably have never spent as much time at home as they're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw something on TV last night. I think it was Miami. It's the first time that they had ever had the Humane Society completely empty. Everything that they had been adopted.
That's awesome. That's good for the pets. That's really good. I'm glad you talked about exercise, Doctor, with the heat coming on. I know a lot of people like to take their doggies on a leash on the streets, and that tar and those pavements, they get really, really hot. Is that safe to do this time of year?
You just have to be smart. Is not just the heat, but the humidity.
Mm-hmm.
That really will cause a pet to go into a heat stress or a heat stroke. Walk early in the morning, late afternoon after it cools off. Know your pet. Just because they've been hanging around the house and now you're home free to take them for a walk, don't go for that 1.5 miles or 2 miles.
They got to work up to it just like I do, right?
Yeah. That's what I have to do. I'll go down about 4 houses, turn around, go back home.
There we go.
When you're a rat terrier with little old legs about that long, it's hard to keep up with Mama when she's doing her 5 miles, and little old Scoot ain't done 5 miles. So I hear you. Let's talk a little bit, since you touched on felines. Let's talk a little bit about the case at the Bronx Zoo or New York Zoo with the tigress. Was it the tiger? Yeah.
There have been reported cases. I think there was some in Bangkok. I think there may have been a couple of cases there. I think over in England, maybe they reported one case. And maybe a couple but those are so isolated. I don't think they really know exactly, if you have that few cases, exactly how contagious it is to our cats.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So at this point, don't be any more fearful of your cat. Just keep your cat close by and supervise where it goes and what it does. And, it'll look at you funny because cats are like that. But
now listen, and cats have always had a coronavirus, okay, that causes respiratory problems. Okay. That particular coronavirus usually is in early and young kittens. They'll have a snotty nose, some eye discharge, respiratory issues, but it usually clears up fairly quickly with antibiotics. That coronavirus can mutate, okay, and cause a more vicious part or side of corona called feline infectious peritonitis, which is a bad virus. So, but cats, we've always dealt with cats. We used to deal in dogs with a coronavirus, but it caused more of an intestinal problem, just like parvovirus. You've probably heard of parvo. Okay, this was a real mild side of clinical signs, kind of like parvo. We used to vaccinate it for it, and then it just got to where it really wasn't necessary to vaccinate. So we stopped vaccinating the dogs for it. But we always vaccinate cats for the coronavirus.
Okay, that's interesting to know. Go ahead.
But it's not the COVID-19.
No.
This is a different coronavirus.
Well, isn't the common cold a coronavirus, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's not as though they didn't know what this was. They knew what it was. They just didn't know which one it was.
That's right. That's right.
So, Doctor, you're clearly up to date on the coronavirus, and just like we all been staring at our TVs and reading the news online and stuff. But you've got kind of an interesting perspective. Being a veterinarian, are you seeing any different behaviors in your patients? And of course, I mean that as the pet and the human.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
You got to think about that. That's exactly right. These pets, most of our pets are used to getting up in the morning, eating. And this is one thing that we've seen with our dogs. Okay. We don't know their routine because we're at work, So, but typically what they do is what we're learning is they get up, they eat, and when we leave, they go back to bed. They'll go get back in their bed and be there till about 10:30, and then they come out and then they go walk around the yard, and then they come back in and go back to bed.
Nice.
So I think in changing up their habits, okay, that in itself can be a little stressful to our pets because now they're not getting the rest that they are typical to get. So it can make some pets that are more susceptible to stress type induced seizures, okay, like epilepsy, okay, During stressful times, more pets will have seizures. Okay, it may be a little more obvious since everybody is at home.
Sure.
So any strange behavior that your pet may do, they may do it when you're not home. Okay, but it's something to take note of and call your veterinarian.
If you have a question for Dr. Ben Garrett of the Dothan Animal Hospital, you've got the opportunity right there in the chat on Facebook at B1053 and on YouTube at Wiregrass Radio. And you can also give us a call at 699-1053, 699-1053. This half hour brought to you as a public service of Knight's Wrecker Service, 899-3257. And now the question that I've been anxious to ask a veterinarian. The whole bat issue over in Wuhan, the wet markets, the bat. Now, I don't even like to think of the wet markets. And of course, I was in the Navy. I've traveled the world. I've seen a lot of bad things. It's their culture, and they've done it for centuries. And what are your beliefs? You're just chit-chatting here. What are your thoughts on the whole bat transition of the virus and to human?
I don't know. You know, I guess I'm like everybody else. I'm a little questioning whether that's exactly what happened here. You know, but I really don't know. What are your thoughts?
Have mercy.
I'm sorry, I hate to throw it back.
No, absolutely. I had a touche because I'm the one that asked it. But I'm going to be honest. I called Dave's co-host in the morning, Amy Pollard, and she is just become a Mimi. She's watching the baby, and she had crashed this afternoon after tending all day to her in the nursery, or him in the nursery, and her daughter. She's looking after her. And she said, ask him about the bat. Ask him. So I can at least say I did ask about the bat. But getting back to pets, and the whole routine, you're absolutely right, because now ours hasn't changed that much. Our routine hasn't changed very much at all. I go to work in the morning, and I'm late getting home, and the wife goes to work in the morning because she works with Sarcoa. They're still feeding the shut-ins, and so she gets home in the afternoon, and so the pets, their routine is the only thing that's really changed with their routine is we have an older son living at home who works in a nursing home. And so we gave him the house, and we live in the RV. So they spend more time in a small concealed space, whereas before they had the entire house and they had the entire backyard, which is fenced in. And, now they're in the RV, and we let them out almost like we're camping. We let them out on a leash to go and do their business and then bring them back in. But it's are you seeing an increase in business? Any numbers going up for you guys over at Dothan Animal Hospital?
Well, I mean, we're busy. We're steady. It's got a lot of people staying home, and they're not doing routine things. So we are probably less busy with routine care, but we're probably busier with sick animals at this point. And again, it does take us a little longer to see that patient, get them in, get them out, and we hate that because we typically like to be as quick. People don't like to wait, and we're sorry for that. We're doing the best we can, but it is taking those extra steps.
Doctor, I was wondering, we are spending more time at home. That means more access to snacks, not just for us, but for our pets too. How important is maintaining your pet's diet while we are spending all this time together with them?
Well, it's very important. A friend told me one time that he was talking about the coronavirus and having to be shut up in the house, and he sent this thing and it said, "Well, now does my 600-pound life contact me after this, or do I contact you?"
Oh, that's funny.
So, but yes, back to the pets, absolutely. What I tell my clients is if your pet is used to getting a treat, if they go out to potty, if they, bring the Frisbee back or whatever, take one treat in the morning, break it into small pieces, Okay. And then when your pet comes up for a treat, give them a piece. They'll be just as happy. Okay. They got a treat. And at the end of the day, you've only given one treat. You know,
you don't know my scoop. Just
what
as happy.
What about people food?
People food. If they're not used to getting people food, that can cause a lot of issues. That can cause vomiting, diarrhea, pancreatitis. I mean, you can end up with a bad belly, and nobody wants that. So I definitely would recommend sticking with their normal diet. Particularly, everybody's cooking out a lot right now. The grills are going 3-4 times a week when they were only going on the weekends. Be careful with bones. Do not give your dog a bone. They're going to swallow it. We've had 2 or 3 that have ended up on the roof of their mouth where they lodge between the teeth. They'll swallow them. We end up with, going in and getting them out of them because they're not used to it, maybe not used to getting bones. But even if they are used to it, just don't do it. Give them a treat. Give them a piece of that treat.
There you go. It's I'm scared, especially older animals, their teeth get brittle. And if you give them a bone or something like that, they're liable to chip a tooth.
Yes, they can. They can. Particularly these back teeth back here, because they'll get on there and they'll chew and they'll cause a shear fracture, or slab fracture on one of those teeth. And then that could lead to abscess.
Well, we're talking with Dr. Ben Garrett of the Dothan Animal Hospital today. And Doc, as I talked to you earlier, anytime you need to peel out, I noticed you looking at your phone there. If something has come up and you need to take off, feel free. But I just wanted to, while you're still here, touch on the high points again. Some of the things we talked about was dogs and cats. Now there have been a few cases of the feline contacting COVID, but we don't have all the proof. There's no definitive test, not enough numbers. And we also talked about the fact that your dog can be a surface carrier for the virus. So if someone were to sneeze or cough in the vicinity of your pet and it settles on the pet and the pet comes home to you, the keys would be to keep your pet, close by, keep them on a leash when you exercise them, whereas before you might have let them run off. And also, if you do have a sick family member, keep the pets away from that family member as well. Basically, what we're saying is whatever we do, with the exception of wearing a mask, because I know they ain't going to stay on my dogs, with the exception of wearing a mask, whatever we do, we need to tend to do the same thing with our pets. And that includes snacking and eating.
That's right. That's right.
Now, I know we've talked about nothing but cats and dogs here, but are we seeing any kind of associated distress with other animals in relation to the whole being at home all day or the COVID-19 virus or any of that stuff, Doc?
Well, I can't really comment on large animal. I don't do any large animal things. Small animals, we see a few pocket pets and those things, but I would think they're getting a whole lot more playtime with the owners, with the kids all being out of school, which is probably good for them.
We could all
fish I got at the fair.
We could all spend a little time on the wheel since we've been sitting.
That's right. That's right.
And Doc, tell us a little bit about your business there at Dothan Animal Hospital. What kind of practice it is, who you have on staff, how folks can contact you, your phone number, and your location as well.
Oh, well, thank you for asking that. We are at on South Oak Street, right down from Ray's Restaurant. The practice has been here since 1943. My dad actually came to the practice in 1959. So the practice has been here a long, long time. We are all small animal, and we do, we do health checks. We do routine annuals and pet preventative care. as well as surgery. We do have boarding facilities as well. We've got a great staff. We've got some of our staff members have been here for 40 years plus. I've been here 33 years back from vet school. So been here a long time. Dr. Brad Harris is my partner. He's been here over 20 years.
And your phone number there?
Is 793-9779. It's 334-793-9779.
That sounds easy to remember in case you have a pet emergency. 793-9779.
There you go. Dave, any final questions for Doc before we let him go?
Nothing silly. I'm a fish guy. I'm an aquarium guy. So,
Yeah, that's right. Fish, that's probably the best thing for anxiety and stress.
Oh, yeah.
So watch an aquarium before you go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, hey, listen.
I know.
Thanks for being on the show, man.
We certainly do appreciate it, Doc, and thank you. I know it was a spur of the moment, and I appreciate you making time for us and our listeners. And anybody who needs to contact you, it's Dr. Ben Garrett and his partner over at Dothan Animal Hospital. And I assume that you guys over there and gals are practicing social distancing in the office and doing all that.
The staff we're checking temperatures of each staff member 3 times a day. We are wearing masks but here's my mask.
I saw that. I happened to see that was an Auburn mask.
War Eagle, man. Nice.
And we actually had a client make these for us. So we're trying to do the best we can with the PPEs. But again, thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you so much. You've been a marvelous guest and some great information for our listeners. And hopefully we can get you back on here in the next couple of weeks if we're still doing this show in a couple of weeks. And I have a funny feeling we might be.
Well, I'd love to. Thank y'all.
All right,
much.
Doc, thank you so much. Have a great afternoon. What a great guest that was.
Yeah. It was great. And I'll tell you what, a lot of times we get so focused on the people getting sick that we don't think about the effect that it could be having on our pets. So I think he was a great guest today, Ricky.
I was looking through the CDC website. I usually peruse all the websites from Dothan.com, which is the Chamber of Commerce. They got a lot of great stuff over there. And we're going to get Cliff Mendham probably on tomorrow afternoon with us to talk again about some of the new stuff. Even though I don't think they were able to vote today on that additional money for the SBA, the small business.
I noticed a lot of big companies discovered they didn't need the money and they're returning it. Shake Shack, maybe, I think they had back $10 million that they discovered they didn't need. So maybe there's going to be a little more fluidity in that whole SBA thing.
Yeah, but I was looking at the websites, going to all the Alabama Department of Public Health and different things that I look through every day. Wiregrass 211, all great resources, folks. You should go check them out. And as I was on the CDC website, and you're going down through there going, okay, what should you do if you think you're ill, if you have a fever, and what should you do if you are positive, and what should you do if you're negative, and it kept going on down, and then it got down there, and it talked about how to take care of your pets during this whole time, and the light bulb went off, and I said, well, let me just reach out, and I knew of Ben over there at Dothan Animal Hospital, and he was so gracious to spur of the moment be on with us.
That's an Auburn grad for you, Ricky. What can I tell
you? he was a great guest, and we'll have him back on again very soon to talk more about your pets, your dogs, your cats, your fish, your snakes, your squirrels, your rabbits, your hamsters, and your guinea pigs and your turtles and so forth. Hey, look, we're going to try to get Cliff Mendham from the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce tomorrow to be with us here on the show. And Dave, thank you so much for being with us today. Don't forget.
See you tomorrow.
All right. You can catch Dave tomorrow morning. Pollard and Dave right here mornings at 6 a.m. on B1053. That would be right here, B1053. And again, this half hour brought to you as a public service of Knights Wrecker Service. Big or small, they do it all. 899-3257. So thankful to them for allowing us this time to bring you this important information. So until tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock, stay strong, Wiregrass. And we now return you to our normal programming.